Of course. Oh, we're on. I didn't realize I didn't hear any music. Is this something new that we're doing and for the IQ podcast show? So I'm very honored, of course, to have Rajni and her husband, Ravi. Nice to see you both. They are the owners of the Coronado Retirement Village and Memory Care Center, which we were just talking about my sponsors. I don't want to offend anybody because my memory is in care, needs lots of care, and I need to be able to remember my sponsors because then they won't be sponsors anymore. It's nice to see all of you, by the way.
Hello.
So they have a wonderful story on how they put this facility together. And the reason I had them on, both of them, is because this is a situation where people are living longer now and they're not really planning and thinking about their care as they get older. But let's start first. How did you first meet? How did you both meet each other?
We both. Oh gosh, that's a long time ago.
Well, it's okay. Let's just start with how you first met. How old were you both?
Well, going back, gosh, I was 9 years old when I first met Ravi.
9.
Yeah.
Is that legal?
Well, I just met him and I felt very fascinated because he was very funny.
Well,
very humorous.
I can see that because just meeting him right off the bat, I feel like I feel like I've known him for a while, and he is very humorous.
Right. So that was the first catch, right? And then, of course, our families knew each other, and then we met a few times. And then I was just about 17, or when I found out he's moved to America, USA.
Okay.
We were still in touch through our families.
So he was in the United States. Where were you in the United States? You were where?
I was in New York for first 2 years.
I was going to say New York. That's crazy. New York came to my mind before you said it. And then
you were a mind reader.
No. You know what? I think we just feel our vibes. Is what it is.
Yeah.
Where it's energy. So where were you living in India somewhere, right?
New Delhi.
New Delhi.
At the time, yes.
Okay.
We had migrated from Myanmar, Burma at the time.
Okay.
And I was 10. I did my education. I was a pre-med student.
Really?
Yeah. Mom knew I was going to be a good doctor, but then I found this man. So I chose to get married at age 19. We started family very young. And that's how, in 40 years, United States has been home for us. Our families are here.
That's very nice. Family's everything.
It sure is.
It is for us too.
Yes.
So you've been together all this time, and then did either one of you ever imagine that you would be involved with this business, the Coronado Retirement Village? Did you ever think I'm going to do? Because you said you were going to be a doctor.
Yes.
And then Ravi, what were you going to be? What were you thinking about doing?
I was an accountant.
You know, it's really crazy. When you came in, I'm like, he looks like an accountant.
Oh gosh, you know everything about Ravi.
Yes.
A lot of synergy here.
No. So, did you go to school to be a CPA or an accountant?
Just an accountant. I have bachelor's in India, and then I moved here, and then I just did some practice with H&R Block in New York. When I moved here, I worked with the city of Costa Mesa.
Wow.
And as an accountant, then I went into my own business, like several of them.
So did numbers always come easy to you, or is that something you just made yourself learn and do?
Just easy. It's like
breathing.
He's gifted. Yeah.
Okay. I find the most successful individuals are when they let go of what people think they should be or their families tell them they should be, and they decide to kind of go with what they're feeling or what they're naturally good at.
I just went with the flow of it.
Right.
And just followed that flow.
Okay.
Ravi is very trusting and very spontaneous, and he just handshakes and works with people.
So I have to tell you, that's the way I operate. I find that if it works, it works. And if you have an instinct, it probably first instincts or first impressions usually tell you a lot about people.
Exactly.
So you're both doing these different things. And I think this is an interesting business because eventually we all are going towards that direction, correct?
Correct. All of us. Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of stories out there finding a good, trustworthy retirement village or care. What do you feel? And we'll go back to how it all fell into place. But since we're on this little road so far, what do you think separates your facility with maybe a lot of the other facilities that are out there?
Well, I've been so consumed for the last 13 years in Coronado Retirement Village that if you ask me what I have looked around or seen what others do, I'll be honest, never had a chance.
So you've never gone to other facilities? You never?
I've not toured any one of those.
Okay.
But I mean, my marketing department does, and our administrator, she knows a lot about
Okay.
the area, and I've been all just constantly taken into just doing what this place needs.
So you're not
Hands on all the time.
So you're not worried about what anybody else is doing or what you're hearing. You feel if you focus on
Exactly.
what you need to do, then everything will be fine.
Just the care is everything.
That's
to
it.
her.
Our niche is care, constant care, constant hands-on needs, and their needs keep changing. The family's expectations, my staff, I have to advocate for them because without them, I'm incomplete. My work is nothing.
I just want to bring one little thing with care, how we all fell in love. And my first letter I received from her wrote, "I care." And I was flattened by that.
Okay, he's coming back to our love story. Okay.
So until today, I see that care is ultimate for her.
Well, I think another unusual circumstance, and I'm kind of walking the talk myself. A husband and wife working together is not really a common thing in the world, is it?
Yeah, we were very different people. I mean, it's not
I
like
could
just
see-
because we do the same thing.
I could see that right off the bat.
Yeah, we're very different people, but it's amazing how it complements. Our differences actually complement. He takes care of a lot of numbers, finance. I'm all operations. And then we still sit down and talk about things, and we care for what we do. So it's just, and my family, it's a family operated. My son had also joined us years ago. Now he's doing social rehab in Irvine, Orange County. My daughter has opened a school from kindergarten to 6th grade. She's new, and it's amazing to see her curriculum. It's all passion, change maker. So sometimes we kind of go through this, and we go between us, her, and my son who's doing adult care. We are at womb to tomb. We should write a book someday.
Well, that's what I was.
A journey from a womb to the tomb. We cover
Womb to the tomb.
Womb to the tomb.
We have to find out if that's a good. I mean, that's an interesting
I don't even
title.
know if the title is taken, but I always think about it.
But here is how the school came about. It's very interesting. Our son who runs the rehab, so he has meditations and all kind of extra guides to keep everybody in line, to provide the best services so that they go home and
learn the social skills.
But then there was a incident which happened there, which my daughter saw. She said, "I don't want our next generation getting into drugs or any issues of such sort that as a community or as a country we are failing. That I'm going to bring this into our school system, that kids will be so rooted in themselves that they will not be going towards any of the drugs." So this is how she did her PhD in education, and then she opened up a school. And she told my son, "I'm going to shut your business down." She meant was any kind of these businesses should not be existing. And he said, "I'd love to join you. I'd rather be on this side than try to fix people."
So is this a private school?
Private
It's
school.
a private school
In San Clemente.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's called In Wonders.
What's the name of it?
In Wonders.
In Wonders.
Yeah.
They open up a private school. Sarah's the boss, by the way, if anybody's not sure and they're tuning in for the first time. But Sarah's grandmother was the superintendent of all the Philippines. She ran, actually, was it superintendent? Was it secretary? I mean, she ran the whole Filipino. I mean, that was a huge job.
Education.
And she did it by herself because her husband died during the war. Plus, she raised a big family all by herself. She was a matriarch.
Superwoman.
So, but education was always a big part in my life, in our lives too, because my mother was in education for 55 years.
Wow.
So I grew up with all that, and that's a foundation. I think that's
Foundation, exactly. What she was trying to say to him was like, if we start right, where the kids feel the self-love, the
The
self-care,
wholesome approach.
then maybe one day the drug will not be an attraction.
Sure.
And he was like, I would happily join to work with your school rather than having more rehab, or place like
Well,
that.
it makes a lot of sense. You were going to say something, Ravi?
No, that's what this is how that school came about.
Okay.
The vision was there with her partners and her kindergarten friends. They got together. The three of them had same vision, and now it opened last year. And she's also a new mother, your new mom. So she's very busy.
Your first grandchild?
My second grandchild. My first grandchild is from my son.
You're both very young grandparents.
Thanks.
Time flew. Sometimes people say, well, you look young. And I go, you know what? I was so busy in what I do that I forgot to age.
You think you could put a couple good words in for me somewhere? I'm trying to fight off some things. And so you both are both definitely very gifted and talented, I can tell, because I work with a lot of individuals for many years in different areas.
Thank you, Brett,
and I've
for your
interviewed a lot,
kind words.
and a lot of interesting people that I've interviewed. And our friends of mine are also very interesting. So you're both doing these different things probably before this thing started. We won't go into details of what that was, but how did you end up getting into the retirement village? How did this come about?
So about 15 years or so ago, Ravi used to be, he was helping in loan processing, and he had a gentleman who used to bring loans for some assisted living businesses.
Okay.
And one day he was short of a partner or something, and he said, would you join me? And that was another location in San Diego. So Ravi, as trusting as he is, I was very reluctant, and I'm like, we're not putting our kids' college money into something we don't know about this business.
Sure.
I was doing promotional business at the time, a souvenir shop in CBS, and merchandising, American Idol, Dancing with the Stars,
Wow.
all those merchandising at the souvenir shop at the time, and doing promotional business. And we were self-employed before that, a whole family business with photo business, Konica, photo shops. Everybody was in that time between those. And then this gentleman wanted a partner. Ravi said yes. He went for it. A couple of years the road, we found out it didn't do very well. So I jumped in to see what it is all about. And there it is till today. I guess that was a calling. It got us there.
Well, that's fascinating. And I have a question for you, because you are a numbers man. So you saw the numbers.
I did not see the numbers.
You did not see the numbers.
No.
Had you seen any of the other numbers that he had ever done?
No, nothing.
Interesting. So you're this numbers person who didn't see the numbers, which is highly unusual in itself.
Very unusual. Yes.
Yes. He is not logically doing numbers all the time. It's just when it's needed, it comes.
Numbers come to me. I don't go to the numbers.
I've never heard of anything like that. Sarah, have you ever heard anything like that before? Sarah thinks it's cool. Okay. So you get into it because you're like, okay, there's some things going on that I need to get involved with here, because things are not working out the way they should be working out.
She jumped in, and
I jumped in because I really wanted to make sure the money I was promised to be returned comes back, because
Sure.
my children have to go to college.
Sure.
And when I saw what I saw there, I mean, we were very silent partners. We were hardly 10% partner. I just couldn't sleep that night. I felt that place wasn't serving, and our seniors were not getting the service they deserved. So I got into the orientation with the state to see what this is all about, what
Sure.
is assisted living about. And then I slowly got into it, took leave from my other place.
Okay.
And then that's where we were.
So I've been hearing all these wonderful things about what you do at the facility. First of all, our good friend of ours, we have a mutual friend, Larry Delrose, first introduced us. And I have to tell you, Larry's a pretty good judge of character. And he said, you got to meet them. This is like about 2-3 weeks ago.
That's
before he
right.
came on the radio.
Yes.
He said, you're going to love them. He said, they're going to get along so well with you. And he said, of course, is Rajni's going to love Sarah, which I think you both are very kind of similar in a certain way. But I believe that it takes a village and a team.
Absolutely.
And you have to have different talents, and everybody has to have their own department and area. So what do you think it is about that you feel the improvements, and since you started the Coronado Retirement Village, what is it about it now that you can say you're proud of?
Well, a lot of team effort has been gone into it. I would not, every minute I think about a success where we are, I would always thank the team of people that have been with me since 13 years, my administrator, Liz. We have a lot of new people who have joined. Julia Torres, she's been there forever with me. So, and my building manager, our chef, our wellness director, our HR manager. I mean, there are so many of them who have put together this show for us to be here where we are.
And how many people are living at the facility now?
There's around 80 is a good number, but sometimes like COVID, we had a very low census. We couldn't do any new admissions. So I would like to we are licensed for 120 beds. We have 95 units, but 80 will be a good number that we would like, but
Is there a shortage of facilities like yours in San Diego County or in the country?
I don't think think it's a shortage. I mean, there's a lot of national chains and many big facilities in San Diego. There are a lot of board and care. I don't think there's a shortage. It's just you just need to know as a family what is more suitable. What are your needs? What are you
Mhm.
looking for? For example, ours is more assisted living and memory care. But if you have an independent setting and you want a kitchenette or a little bit of lifestyle of an independent, we may not be the most suitable. Whereas others may have that,
Well, memory care, as we know, we've seen it. And I think we talked about this on the radio show the other day. There's been an increase with dementia and Alzheimer's disease
Unfortunately, yes.
in this country, right?
Yes. Especially here.
We also have something called autumn care, which is like sometimes they may come with some cognitive decline, but they're not quite there to be in a locked unit.
Okay.
So we kind of monitor that.
So that's her specialty. She
because I wouldn't want
developed that in between wing.
We really need
Yeah.
that. If there's anything that we need right now is that those who are not quite in memory care and they do not belong in assisted living either. So there's that mid path is what I call autumn care,
Okay.
where we can have someone to guard on them, monitor and see if they really need to go into a memory care if they decline further. And that's a constant assessment you have to do and check on that.
So you had mentioned something the other day. The reason I like you is because you are so down to earth, and
Thank you, Brett. You've been very kind.
Well, I'm being very honest. And we don't want. We get a lot of requests for people to be on our shows. I mean, you wouldn't even believe the emails I get every day, and we're really, really selective because I think we're trying to provide. It's a service
Yes.
to people out there that are looking for legitimate, good businesses and people that we would set. I would definitely look into your facility if I had a relative.
Thank
I
you.
would definitely look into it. And I've had my mom when she was ill in some facilities around San Diego, and I've been around them for a while she was ill. So I got to see what was going on. But what I like about what you said the other day was something that really struck a note with me. Talk about the situation of employees learning what it's like not to move their limbs or be able to see.
Oh, the virtual training, virtual dementia training. That's something I really constantly want to and promote at my work and my training. I do a lot of policies and training myself, one-on-one
Uh-huh.
in a group setting. And my whole goal is to show them that compassion needs to be the leading factor here.
Mhm.
In other words, if I have the virtual dementia training is such like you have a company that brings all the gears. They have you sit on a wheelchair. They put these goggles on you, that makes you look blurry. And they put these kind of some noises with frequency that makes you disturb. And then they just put heavy weights on your feet and make you just sit on a wheelchair. And then they come and say, okay, get up now. Let's go for a shower. Or, grab them or do things like that. And you just realize how difficult it is.
How long are they in that process?
About 10 minutes each person, 10 to 15 minutes.
Do people really, after 10 minutes, think it's a little too long?
No, people come out bawling.
They're crying.
They cry.
I say, "Oh my
They
gosh."
cry because all of a sudden it hits.
Because can you imagine if you were like that all the
All
time?
the time.
I mean, 10 minutes is, don't get me wrong. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
a
like it all
lot.
the time, but it does put it in perspective, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It hits them. It hits you.
So does all your staff go through this type of training?
We have constantly been doing that. During COVID, I had difficult having vendors come in the building do that. We are due for another one. So we try to do. And besides that, there's constant reminder of knowing your resident. We have a lot of documentations we have to do per regulations, but I constantly tell them, let's first know our person that we are taking care of. Know your resident. Feel. Go from the feeling. And staff tries. It's not that our staff doesn't try. But they are busy. It's a very difficult work they do.
How are you both able to, because I've heard, first of all, he goes on instinct. He doesn't feel like with numbers, he's a numbers guy. The numbers go to, what did you say? The numbers go to you. You don't go to the numbers. Something
Numbers
like
come
that?
to me.
Yes. And you have this you were going to be a doctor. There's a certain mentality to be a doctor. I have a young one that says she's going to be a doctor since kindergarten. And I understand because I know how she is a little bit. You're probably the same way, very precise with certain things. You like things done a certain way. But then you also have this humanistic side about you. And this is what I thought would be great to share with the audience and the people out there, because it's not just a business. It's about the people. It's about their spirits. It's about being
Absolutely.
kind. So how are you able to have this one, because you're very business. You're also very nice. You have two sides. And a lot of times you don't see that in a lot of individuals. It's either one or the other, but you have both, and there's a balance that's there.
You constantly have to strike a balance. Yeah.
So, how are you able to do both? How are you able to be the business person, but yet have the spirit and say, like we do this idea we talked about with staff, not having to know what it's like for 10 minutes, be in those people's shoes.
So I have to be always the person. The heart has to lead my brain.
Have you always been that way?
Yes.
Upbringing, was it your mom?
My mom, my dad,
Right.
very generous, very caring. My in-laws,
Kept you-
everybody. I've always learned to be giving.
I get this feeling that you were, because you're very humble, that you were probably raised to be very humble.
Exactly.
It's
My father-in-law is the humblest man I've met.
But you're going to say I was, but
My dad still comes and helps me.
Oh,
He's my
yeah.
pioneer.
does he?
He's
Isn't
my
it? Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
So what I get a feeling is when I think about a Coronado Retirement Village and memory care, what I get the feeling is it's not just a facility; it's a family.
It's absolutely a family. When first time we were introduced in this building to the residents and their families, and they were a little bit like, they're colored, they're brown.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, we felt that energy. And so somebody asked Ravi and goes, so what is it all about? Who are you? What are you going to do? And Ravi goes,
Isn't that crazy? Because I look at you and that doesn't even come into my mind. I see your spirit. I see this bright light.
No, 99% is what you said is right. It's just the very
Well,
little
the
which
first
we
time
it
people were a
doesn't
little
affect
bit
you.
reluctant because they've never seen an Indian person come in the building, probably 13, 15 years ago.
It
And
was-
So first of all, we'll explain, because we have a lot of Native Americans in California. You're not a Native American, of course, if anybody's watching. So when she says Indian, she means Eastern Indian. She means
from
like
India.
from India. We're not talking about, which we have a lot of people from the tribes.
yeah.
A lot of nice to see to Saquon, who's also a very good supporter of my show.
Yes.
But we are all one.
I have no
There's
problem.
nothing
But
changed.
since that was the question that was
Same
raised in
red
the
blood.
front, yeah, it was the first introduction. Of course, they don't know us. So, I mean, I wasn't offended by
But
the
you know,
question.
and here's the thing. I get, and I hear, this is why I think social media is a double-edged sword. I think social media has created a lot more of that. I mean, it's always been there anyway, but I think, in a way, it's kind of added more of that type of.
I actually forgot. You reminded me.
No, I was actually coming to the point of
it's
we are
just-
family.
it's
How
a
the
family.
Right.
This is
tagline
how
"We
the
Are
kid-
Family" came in was when Ravi looks at him and he was kind of like, "What do we do? What we're about? We are family."
Yeah, family.
That's it.
And
We're
what does a
family.
family do? You care.
Sure.
That's just how simple he said it. And since then, our Coronado Retirement Village has this little thing saying we are family.
So when I think family and you care, another thing that comes to my mind, and maybe it's because I'm getting hungry, but how is the food at the facility? Because I'll be honest with you, some of the places my mother was at, and I'm not saying this about yours because I'm sure it's probably not. I get this feeling that the food's probably really good.
It is good when we have every month we have a food committee where residents tell us what they want. They have a
Wow.
lot of say in the
Wow.
in the choices they make.
Choices.
So give us,
we also have diet restrictions that we have to follow.
yeah, because there's health, some
Yeah.
probably have kidney issues. They can't have too much
yes,
protein.
renal
Right.
diet, diabetic diet. We're constantly changing and improving. As I said, and I don't know if I mentioned, and we're not claiming to be perfect in any way, whether we are family operated or we are a
I never-
larger facility, but we are constantly listening.
working on it.
So
Always.
give me a menu for the week. What a menu for the week would be, because it's pretty much. I mean, is there similarities or is it all different?
Oh, there's different every day.
So
Dinner's
everybody,
different, lunch is
so you're
different.
saying everybody's getting a custom made meal?
No,
pretty
no,
much?
they have choices. They have choices. They have alternate menu. They have there's a menu that is an entree.
Okay.
Then there's choices they can take if
Yeah,
they
if they don't like the one on the menu, they can say,
have
"Oh, I would
alternate
like this
menus, yeah.
alternate one."
Oh, do you
and they're vegetarian, gluten friendly,
right?
vegan, all
Do you-
those options.
So also, do you have like so if somebody wants Mexican food, you can do Mexican food.
Absolutely.
Wow. Chinese.
Yes, We have Asian. We have Asian. We have fish of the day.
Indian food.
So it's interesting about Indian. Our chef is French.
Do you do curry?
He hasn't. Well, we have two Indian families have joined us.
They just joined this
And-
about 2 months ago.
So Ravi is basically in packing food from home.
I
and
brought
he
it
goes,
for them.
they want a certain kind of Indian food from a different
Do
region.
you cook the food?
No, he doesn't cook. That's one
My-
thing we haven't seen him.
My sister, who's with us,
I bet you can
she
cook.
made
Ravi's
Can he cook?
sister.
Can Ravi cook? Can Ravi cook?
No, he can
No,
boil
I
water.
can boil water.
You can run. Oh,
I
that's
don't even need that. We have Insta water now.
Yeah, I know. Yes. Fortunate to have was my mother was
He's been
with me,
spoiled.
my
Yeah.
sister Rajni. So
A
and
lot
then
of
we have
cooks in the
somebody-
family.
We
Oh,
have somebody.
My
helping.
mother was amazing cook.
So I mean, we talked about things that are important. We've talked about it's a FICA family. Food is very important because that also touches the heart for a lot of
yes.
people, right?
Oh yes, 3 times a
Food
day. This
is-
is
They look
very
forward
important.
to the food
Yeah.
every day. So we make a point. They, usually they give them budget. You have to live within that. We say no. You got to go out the budget sometimes to make it.
So it's interesting.
happen.
You said he's a number man, but this number man in operations,
I go the other way.
anytime, anything that is needed for
It's there.
improvement or security or aesthetic or safety, their furniture or food, he never
know,
questioned.
I
He's
know
like,
I know
go
you-
do it. Do what we need to do.
I know you're both a very close knit family, but Rob, you got to tell you if we have a spare room at our house, and if you ever want to come stay for a couple of days and watch some old movies and watch some sports and help me kind of organize the kitchen and the house. I mean,
Organizer, here she is.
Okay, out of the 20 hours that I work, I'll definitely figure out that.
I'm just teasing. I'm
No,
just
no.
teasing. I'm just teasing.
Because she's the, she takes everything to the next level, no matter where she
Well,
goes.
I think you both, and we're going to talk about activities next because that's another part. It's very important,
Very
of course.
important, yes.
So I think you both, because you care so much for each other, there's so much love, and the love transpires into the facility with the family feeling, the food,
Yes.
that you both are always constantly raising the bar. You're never settling for where you were before. You're going always to the
There's
extra mile.
always room to
There's always room
improve.
to improve.
Right.
And that's
I see. I already know this. Isn't that crazy? I can feel that. So what about activities? I mean, because being entertained instead of being in a room all day, I mean, you got to
Absolutely.
keep your mind active. That's part of memory care, I would think, right?
I'm
Yes.
very hands-on with that. We during COVID, we had a lot of difficulties with group activities. We had isolation. There was outbreak. We still had done our Mother's Day, Easter, all holidays. We did it in distant. We have a big, large fence in the back of the courtyard. That's where families came
Yes.
and we exchanged gifts, flowers. We did all kinds of entertainment.
So when everything
but
was
differently.
so everything was closed, you had a fence or a gate area. You said,
Yeah.
Yes, they were all in the open area. They were all coming, and we were.
We were still exchanging
We were
things.
how
Changing.
challenging was that for you?
Oh,
Oh my God.
Because you've never been, nobody's ever been through
Never
anything
been
like
through
that.
You
that.
can never be prepared. I mean, before COVID, we thought this industry of taking care of elderly is pretty challenging. It's very demanding. During COVID, we thought that looked like easy.
Yeah,
It looked like,
COVID
whoa,
made
that
it.
was nothing.
because you
Now,
didn't know what was hitting us.
we didn't have
COVID. Now we know. At that time,
I think
had-
I think in a lot of ways we still don't know though, even though we do know.
Yeah, but we know some. Okay, it happens. These are the symptoms. This is the
at least
consequences.
we have some guidelines
At
now.
that time,
Yeah.
it was like end of the world. What are we doing?
Yeah.
What else?
How emotional, not only for you, of course, but how emotional was it for your patients, or would you call them patients or clients?
Our client, our residents.
Our
our
residents.
So how challenging, because they've never been through anything like that. I mean, a lot of them have probably been through wars and
Yes.
depressions and things.
It was very hard to comprehend the idea that I cannot meet anyone. People cannot visit inside.
So how
we had a lot of FaceTime.
how challenging was
FaceTime.
that? FaceTime.
FaceTime helped.
FaceTime,
with the
social. Yeah,
families.
our staff was taking their phone in residents' room. We had families meeting them from the other side of the fence,
Okay.
which was constantly happening. Thank goodness for the location
We had a good location.
that
we were
people could
fortunate.
visit. Yeah,
Yeah.
people could be outdoors. Our staff was there. We used to have, in those days we didn't have masks, but we had got cloth masks made
Yes, at that time
since
we
they were not
started.
available to us. I can't even fathom how we went through it. Now I look back.
Mhm.
She wouldn't come
Six-
home because I have.
I didn't even go
some
home.
Health issues. She said, "I don't know what we have, so I cannot come home."
I
She
would
stayed here.
I patrolled at night. My daughter was here doing vitals. Our memory care became one of the outbreak triage where anybody who was with COVID positive was there.
We started the podcast March of 2020.
Whoa.
And we would look outside here on the street and I wouldn't see anybody. And I looked at her and I'm like, this is the worst decision we've ever made. Nobody, we had a radio show and we were good because we knew that, the podcast. And then all of a sudden something happened. We started getting, our numbers were coming in and I'm like, because when Italy first, people were dying in Italy.
Yes.
I was interviewing people in Italy that were veterinarians that became doctors, and we had translators, and we were showing things in the podcast like this is a visual. We were showing tanks going by from the United States that nobody saw on the news here. We had actual people showing us what was going on in Italy. The next thing I know, our rating, we had 1,500% increase in business.
Oh my God.
1,500% increase.
Wow.
And I realized that people weren't out here, but they were right here.
Right here.
And that really blew my mind. And I didn't realize because the timing was impeccable and we were blessed to do that.
Yeah.
So it affected us all in different ways. But here's my thing. What do you want people, what's the takeaway that you want people to know if they're thinking about transitioning into the retirement village or they have a family member that's in the same situation? What do you want them to know about your facility?
Well, business apart, everybody says good things about their business, but I want them to know that we take each individual's care as an individual. We don't generalize it. Whatever their needs are, we go with that. We want to know the person. And they have open door policy between the administrator, myself, any manager, anybody is caring, hands-on. We did televisits when families were not available. We want to know what medications they take, how the medications affect them, what they like, what they don't like. We go in details. So there is that personal touch that is very big in this facility with each one of my staff.
The personal touch, and everybody's like a family member.
Everybody, because I remember one resident, she liked M&Ms, and so she used to bring M&Ms for her. And then
I thought you meant the rap artist. A resident that was there liked M&M, and so she brought M&M.
I'm relying on a lot of people, three shifts, and sometimes they have their personal situations post-COVID, having staffing issues. We're going through the same challenges everybody's globally going.
We have our own heroes who stood by us.
They were there.
Some of our employees couldn't make it because they got
sick
COVID
or family. Yeah,
and then others all got together and stayed over. Whatever
they
time
did
they
any
needed.
shift. They were tired, but they did it. So that's what I'm trying to say.
So
people, it's very difficult job to do, and I'm just going to request families not to be in denial when this change happens. Because that's one thing I see that families are not
right. I would say that you're probably absolutely the people that I met when my mom was ill. I would say that's probably very true.
Very true.
I would say it's very true.
So I, myself and Ravi have parents and we have seen dementia from this side, from the family side. So for me, it's not like just being on the other side of the business. I can relate.
Residents
I know the pain.
Not numbers to us. They are people.
Yeah, the day it will be census dictated, then we will quit this.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a true sign of somebody that really cares, because I'm the same way with what we do.
Yeah.
There's a time where it's time to move on and go to another
go to
area, whether it's either travel the world or spend more time with your family. But I appreciate, first of all, I like to tour the facility one of these times.
Please do, yes.
And I would like to do an article for our magazine, which I don't know if you've seen. I think we showed you maybe a little bit of it, but I'd like to be able to tell more of a story with photos. See, the hard part's over now. The video part of what you thought was going to be like scratching a chalkboard wasn't hopefully as bad as you thought it was going to be.
Well, it's my first time, so I'm a little nervous.
Did you have a nice time?
Yes, I did. You're wonderful. You make us so comfortable.
Well, I appreciate it. Oh, look what I got here. Like I see, this is the one that saves me here. These are all the sponsors. My memory care is saved.
You're the lifesaver.
She is a lifesaver.
He has a life secretary all the time around him taking care.
So all my sponsors out there, first of all, this is why I've talked you into being sponsors, because these are the good people that we need in our lives. They play a part. We've never had anybody in your industry on all the interviews I've ever done. We've talked about memory care. We've talked about wellness, anti-aging, things like that, which I'm really big into. but we've never had anybody in your caliber or in your trade. So thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you for
Pleasure.
inviting
It's a
us. It was
pleasure.
such an honor.
But I thought it was important enough to have you on because it's a very important thing and very uncomfortable for a lot of people to talk about. But hey, don't be in denial because it's going to happen to all of us. And if you're going to do it, go to some individuals that really care about you. And I think you're going to really find, because I have done my research. Plus, both these individuals, of course, came to me through Larry Dalrose, and who speaks very highly of both of them. But there's a reason why they're here. So
Thank you,
they're very special. That's why we had them here tonight.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate your stories. I look forward to hearing more stories
There's a lot of stories.
and sharing with the audience.
Another thing I want to let them know is that in many, I don't know about other facilities, but here, if couples come to stay in this facility, they have a choice. If one has dementia and the other still wants to be in the same room or in memory care, we're good. They can be together. They don't have to be in separate rooms. We don't make that choice. It's their choice. They want to bring their furniture. They want to make
And it is, I'm sure it's different for each couple.
right. That's why I said they have a choice. One can
And
have a room next
and
door.
it's interesting you're bringing this up because we had this discussion last night. She was talking to my aunt, and she was saying about how, as people get older, sometimes couples want to have their own room. And of course, I'm like, well, so you don't want to be my roommate anymore? But it's interesting you brought it up.
Yeah, because a lot of times they come and they are in pain of not wanting to separate. And he's like, I want to be with her. I'm like, I'm good. You don't have to take care of her. We'll do that.
Yeah.
But you can be in the same room. You can be in separate areas.
Well, I feel like I get that, and I understand that whole thing. Yeah. But we have to do another. If you like, we would love to do another story or maybe some type of workshop with you guys because it is very valuable what you do.
Thank you.
Yes, she can really say what is the time to move, or if they're waiting, they're on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
She has some stories about that, and that helps people.
We have beautiful stories. Our residents, they know so much. We have veterans in the building.
Yeah, we get their shares.
And we support our veterans. We're doing
Absolutely.
a gigantic. I think I told you a huge military
Yes.
event coming up.
So
Yes.
true.
But I appreciate your time.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for inviting us. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Ben.
Okay, everybody. You know what? I got to tell my sponsors thank you because you've been very good to me, and I appreciate your faith in my show and our media. So first of all, one of my favorite places to eat, of course, is on the island, the Garage Bonificetta.
I'm going there tomorrow.
There you go. I want to say again to another mutual friend, of course, who somebody has, of course, Coronado's talent coming up, Alan Kinzel, the realtor.
That's right.
He's one of the top in San Diego County, and I highly recommend them. He's a good friend of the show, and he's a person that actually cares about everybody. I find there's a lot of connection between everybody I'm going to list because everybody that I do know and I've gotten to know and their families, these are people that are not just paying because we don't want people that pay. We want people that care. And so the people who do care. Of course, Adriana Gibbons, the Lone Queen, who's probably one of the best at what she does. And I can tell you that she's the kind of person that if your mother passed away and you've done business with her, she's probably going to make a bunch of food and bring it to your house.
Oh.
And even help with the funeral. I'm sorry to put you on the spot like that. She does it with all her clients. They're like family to her.
That's it.
That's what it takes.
La Bella's Pizzeria in Coronado, in Chula Vista. La Bella's been around, is the oldest Italian restaurant in San Diego. They've been around since the 1950s.
Wow.
And it all started with a father and a mother that came from New York and had a dream and came to Chula Vista, and it's now being run by the kids.
Amazing story.
Give
Beautiful.
us their numbers.
Yeah, we're going to, we'll
do
love to go.
catering.
We would cater from them for our residents.
We're going to be doing the best student. We're going to have best student competition at their location, honoring the top students in elementary school.
Nice.
Dr. Melinda Silva, who's the anti-aging specialist and my good friend and partner. We're partners in a lot of things. She's probably one of the top anti-aging doctors in the country. She's been on the show The Doctors. She's written some books. She does lectures all over the world. She's 35 years old like you are and looks phenomenal and is a grandmother. But if you looked at her just like you, both of you are outstanding. You're very young. She's walking the talk. She looks amazing. And then, of course, we've got a jewelry store on the island who's also going to be doing this military event with me. What's it? Mule Jeweler. I don't know if you've been to Mules before in Coronado.
I've not.
So Mules Jeweler, phenomenal. That business is a family business. A lot of family businesses. I don't do a lot of corporate stuff. I do corporate stuff, but I have a lot of family businesses. It's been around almost 100 years.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Mule Jewelers, for what you do, and thank you for all the good work you do on my watches and all the things that I do. I keep you in business with all my swag, all my things, and all. You know what's crazy is, I don't buy my stuff. People give me gifts. I don't know why it is, but I end up getting nice things. I don't know why people have been so
You
good
wear
to
them
me.
well.
You must be
Well,
so
I tell you, this is a workout.
So
So when I
good.
put this on, I'm getting. I feel like I'm doing curls. Thanks all of you for your support. And remember, Coronado Retirement Village and Memory Care in Coronado, no matter where you're at in the country, if you're looking for a great place, I highly recommend them. You'll be hearing more about both of them. Of course, Rajni, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And Ravi also for being here on my
Thank
show.
you to all the
It was
listeners.
really a pleasure.
We learned a lot from you as well.
Oh,
Thank you.
stop it. And remember, everybody be nice to each other, take care of each other, and have a good night.